Hey, Paul.
Hey, Hayden, how are you?
Well enough.
Very
Yes.
cool. How's your week been? Good?
Uh, it's been interesting. I should mention I'm going right from this into like school lessons with BCIT. So,
Okay, well we'll make it count. Yeah, so sorry for the confusion. I had set your appointment for my time, not your time, so I'm so sorry about that.
right.
Yeah, here, well let's make the best use of the time. I loved what you sent me this week was both I read both the prologue and chapter one, and I thought this was a wicked just if nothing else, just kind of a movement away, a break. Sometimes people will like jump off of the story they're writing and go to a different part of the same story like you did. I'm curious what your motivation was. That your motivation for this was just to sort of like stretch your muscles in a different direction slightly?
No, basically, I did some other readings and I took a look at my story and I realized that the original Locust in Alaska had a lot of flaws in it.
Okay.
Like, for instance, we showed off there were some parts in Brewing Bad that just don't work currently if I keep it as is. And I also
Mm-hmm.
realized I kind of missed out on a big opportunity here because we changed the beginning so much that I realized we could basically just shoehorn in an entire other story into it without much, without
Sure.
a lot of editing. So both that, and I'm currently working on three projects: this Brewing Bad, and the other one I'm doing on my own. And I couldn't think of anything else to do for Brewing Bad, so I just decided, screw it, I gotta give him something, so I'm giving you this.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved it. Here, let me pull it up here. Um, any feedback I have is more just a couple of suggestions at the beginning and maybe just a word change. But the flow of it, oh my God, like I just like I say right up at the top here, the way you begin this chapter,
Oh, I hated
I
this chapter.
I loved it. I
I
thought it was I
absolutely
really
hated
enjoyed
it.
it. So how come you sent it to me?
Because I needed to get it done. You know, the, the
There we
whole
go.
point of this prologue is basically what Ramona doesn't have, and that is a life of excitement, a life of enjoyment. Like Ramona is every person in the 20s right now. She doesn't have a stable job. She doesn't have much. She's jumping from crappy job to crappy job, and she doesn't really have much purpose in life right now.
Hmm.
So she's very much the self insert for that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it felt almost like a fantasy, like it was the
Oh, this
next
is
chapter.
completely fantasy. This is all a
Yeah,
dream.
I love it. I mean, and that's why knowing that actually honestly makes me like it more. Little things like this. Let me get this easy step out of the way. Usually, this is a very common thing that writers do, and I do it too. And we have to catch ourselves. Ramona's heart raced as she leapt across the rooftops in hot pursuit. And you usually don't have two as's. Like you just like this as this. Usually one as a general rule. Black Monster, I would suggest you do it here. The creatures
Yeah.
maybe try to find different ways of saying it. So I just highlighted this green, not to make fun of it, just to see how many times you use the exact same
Yeah.
word character.
To be
Black
fair,
monster.
part of that is the fact that it's a dream.
Sure. Well, dream or not, like whether it's a dream or not, your description, your writing is so good. I think in this chapter, that that's the one thing people will catch. It's like he's got this incredible imagination, but he could only come up with one alternative for black monster creature once, and so that may sound petty, but that's exactly one of those things on a descriptive level that makes writing effective. That's the easy stuff to take out of the way. A couple of suggestions here. You can take or leave. I thought the Black Monster and Prince, because they suddenly appeared. We had one sentence of her, and then Black Monster, Prince. Who are these guys? And it just felt like they could be introduced a little bit more. But the description that you have here of her landing on the next rooftop with a resounding thud, her boots absorbing the shock as she took after the Black Monster like a rocket. All of this description down here, like it's just some of your best. I think, even if you don't love the chapter, take some notes from your own writing here in terms of just the super smooth of the quick fluid motion. She snatched it up, her muscles flexed, and she took aim, and then she hurled it like a javelin. Like everything you've got in this chapter is truly some of your sleekest action writing I've ever read. Thought I wouldn't mind it. This is purely suggestion. If the prince said a little bit more than Ramona, thank you. I know we're going right into this. You're such an amazing fighter. Um, and I felt like actually I'm going to cut that out because you've done it. I feel you've already done it here. I love the fact that you
That
totally
was
set me
so
up to believe.
cringe.
Oh,
So
it is
cringe.
cringe. Yeah, no, it is. You're right, but that's what's working. That's what's working for her. Like for me, I thought, okay, she totally saved this guy's bacon. It's a perfectly stereotypical reversal where the girl comes in and saves the man. He's like, "Oh, Ramona, would you like to join me?" And I loved it. It was Princess Bride cringe, is how it felt.
The
Princess Bride,
Princess Bride does it, so it's no. I don't feel any cringe when I watch Princess Bride. This
you
makes me want to smash my head into my keyboard.
exactly. So from my point of view, on the outside looking in, I got a princess vibe cringe, and I mean cringe. Like Princess Bride does everything wrong, but it does it right, and it works, and that's why it's a classic. It's just
Princess Bride is one of those
stereotype
fucking
after
perfect
stereotype.
movies.
Yeah, just absolute nonsense. It's throwing at you William Goldman's excellent book that it comes from, and it all works because it knows that it's being silly, and we know that it knows, and so we give it a pass over and over and over again, and it becomes a classic. If any other movie tried to do what that movie did and didn't do it as well as it did it, we wouldn't be talking about it today. And I think you're nailing the fact, because here's what I loved about this final moment. It's clearly playing out like an obviously over the top like fantasy kind of situation. And it's like, oh, good, she got rid of the monster. And like he said, oh, thank you. And I'm like, oh, this is the beginning of a friendship between the prince and Ramona. This is the beginning of some new Oh, no, it's not. And then it's like, boom, the monster comes out. I just, on a character level, I loved her. I didn't know it was a dream, so that makes even more sense. I thought you were just going in a different direction. I really liked this chapter. I understand why you don't, but I'm telling you, it's got a populist style to the writing that I knew you were always capable of, and I've seen from you before. And this was, in my mind, so enjoyable. So take that for what it's worth. Especially if you don't like it. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with artists, musicians, actors, writers, who some of their best work they ever did was stuff that they themselves hated. Like, ugh, you like that? Bleh. And we're like, yeah, we did. And that's the moment where the artist goes, okay, I'm clearly onto something, but I hate it. Like, I don't want to have to do that to get people to like my stuff. It worked for me. So food for thought. It was a real pleasure to read. And then
Hated writing every second of it.
That's interesting. That's an interesting observation.
Chapter
Something to
3,
think.
I've got 20 pages worth of Chapter 3 content that I'm going to cut in half.
You're going to cut in half for chapter 3, yeah?
Yeah, because most of it's just repeat stuff, but, like, it's about 20 pages worth of content there, so way better with that. Or am I
Yeah, I
splitting it
mean,
up into multiple chapters?
this was strictly almost exclusively punctuation. And so I won't even go into that. You can just look through it as you will. The one line that didn't ring true to me a little bit was her body, exsanguinated with her neck savaged. That's a good novel description, but it doesn't sound like something that a TV reporter would say, because it sounds like it's a TV. So I thought sometimes it's scarier when they don't say this, when they say something really, really objective. It appears, it appears that all the blood had been drained from, like, a much more clinical description rather than a sort of a descriptive novel description.
So, like, a really boring description. Like,
Bo-
2-year-olds.
Boring, and sometimes scarier because it's boring. Because, when you hear somebody, sort of clinically describe a brutal murder, it's like, oh, it's
She had been severely injured and all of the blood had been removed from her body.
yeah, something that sounds more sort of analytical, and because that's how a reporter would actually talk, as would a doctor, as would a lawyer. And it's scarier because you're like, oh, you shouldn't be speaking so clinically about something that's so grotesque. And the fact that you are makes me feel like you don't feel what I feel, and that's creeping me out as much as what happened. And the only thing I might suggest here at the end is to reverse these two paragraphs. I was thinking ending on the note of like, what was wrong with her? What is she, for a job she hated? Is not usually the way you go out on a chapter break. You would go out on, usually, take or leave it. I would go that whole sentence and then go, she reached down, pulled off her shirt, giving me a sniff, and then she ran out to the job she hated. That's a great way to end. So I might just flip those paragraphs if you want to. This was good. This was all just punctuation. Just totally outing on her boss. And so what I think I'm seeing here is that if the prologue showed me the Ramona that she wished she was, this chapter is showing me Ramona as she actually is. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Should I extend a little more on her like boring ass job? I
I
feel like I
might.
should.
Yeah, I wanted to see a little bit more of the job before she just sort of it sounds like she's just kind of a bitch to work with, is the way it's coming across. Is like, God, yeah, I would fire her too. She's a horrible person and a terrible employee, and I wanted to
So
sort of get a
about
better.
2, 3 more pages of her just being a good employee, and then Karen shows up.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, she can still, I don't want her to be perfect. I don't want her to be the opposite of this, where she's just as, an angel and the boss is just a big cunt. But um yeah, the way she was and the way she's talking in this chapter, I'm like, ooh, I don't like this person. So it depends on what you're wanting to get across, basically.
Yeah, my point I wanted to get across is she's here because she needs money.
Totally fair. And show us why she needs money. Tell us a little bit more about her life outside of work. You sort of allude to it at this break, where she said what was wrong with her. She had graduated. Anything when she's graduated, anything seemed possible. Now 2 years later, with nothing to show for it but the job she hated. And so I'm thinking, oh yeah, what is the answer to her question? Why has her job failed? And then you show me why her life isn't where she wants to. Because she's a fucking idiot, the way it's coming across now.
Well,
It's like, I
actually,
know
yeah,
exactly why her life is the way it is. Look at her at work.
that's not what I
You
wanted
know,
to show, but okay.
yeah. So I might figure out how to make her give us more insight into her life right now, and
Maybe you
maybe
should have
talk
her
about.
show up for another job interview for
Ooh,
something she wants, and there's like
that would be
13 other
cool.
people there.
That would be cool. Show us, because guess you can kill so many birds in a room full of people waiting to be jobbed. You can show how socially awkward or how she relates to other people. You can talk about her insecurities and her hopes at the same time. This is all going on in her head, and her feeling like, how does she feel about there's 12 other people there? Does she think I got this, or does she think, oh, I'm a failure? I'm never going to get it. One of them will. You can reveal so much about what we need to know about her in a almost completely dialogue free, sitting in a waiting room ready for a job interview. That is a wicked
Also, like,
idea.
I could go with the common, like, current state of the job market. There's 26 people all trying for the same job, and they want 5 years of experience on top of
Yeah.
that for an entry level
And
job.
you can bring in some millennial and Gen Z angst there. That's perfect.
I know too much about that.
That connects me with her. If she's like me, I want her to feel like me on some level. I
So,
want her to,
throw in a job interview.
I love that. Because I can't that'll make me relate to her. I can't really relate to her here, but if
Hmm.
she was going through something that I've been through and a lot of people are going through, brilliant.
Perfect.
No,
Perfect.
it's just, but crisp, man. Your writing gets crisper every week. It's tighter, it's shorter, it's less extraneous, doesn't have a lot of extra fluff. It's just boom, it's getting to the point and it's fun to read.
It's great to know.
Oh, and McChicken you might need to change, and also the spelling on it's off. It should be M little C big C. But you might want to change that. But I mean, this is good. That's such a minor thing. The coupon thing, that's so cool. So good work. And how long did it take you to write these two chapters?
I have no idea. I was kind of doing it on and off. I've mostly been focusing on the other story, which I really only started after we. I really only got into that one after we finished BPA, and I currently have 28 chapters for that one.
Oh my God. Really?
Yep.
You're an animal.
Yeah, I found out that the secret to me writing a shit ton was just to go to McDonald's, order some breakfast, and then sit there for about 6 hours and just power write the whole way through.
I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks now you can ignore the invoice that I sent you if you're not going to continue in
Yeah.
October, no problem. And so we've still got until the end of this
We
month, and I
got
think
we
we have
got
a
five
session.
we got 5 more sessions banked.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So let me just do.
Is there any chance we can do our sessions every other week?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
I'm also,
problem.
I'm also just asking because I'm still hoping to fix my PWD in time so we can keep going, but honestly, I have no idea at this point.
No, that's totally fair. Hang on, let me put a note here. Okay, so we've got. I'm just gonna write this down.
Also, like I said, the Awoken Myths is taking up most of my time, and that one specifically, I don't want your help on to kind of see how I do on my own.
Yeah, absolutely.
The answer is I don't like to edit. The entire thing needs to be gone over and edited again.
Okay, so I've made sure that I've got the 5 sessions here really clear after today. So do you want to take next week off, or do you
Yeah,
want to pick again?
next week off, and then we'll go again on the week after.
That sounds good. Okay, and I'll make a note of that as well.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, good luck. I'll send you these notes here right away.
No problem. See you in 2 weeks, Paul. Monday at
Sounds
5 p.m. my time. Right?
That's right.
Great. Perfect. See you next
Bye-bye.
week. 2 weeks.